You're listening to KFWB News Talk 980. My name is Les Brown, or Mrs. Mamie Brown's baby boy. And we come your way Monday through Friday from 2 o'clock until 4 o'clock. And this program is designed particularly for you. It's designed to build your mental resiliency, to offset the negatives that you experience each and every day, and to generate new possibilities in your mind and in your life. Thank you so much for joining us and allowing us to be a part of your day. We invite you to join in a conversation. We have various topics, and some you'll be interested in and some you won't. But I want to ask you to become a part of this conversation, because there's a conference going on about schools, and there's a lot of conversations about school these days, and education, and the value and the role that it plays in the life of our kids. Today in New York, there is a conference taking place that focuses on education. Now, many people in the United States would say and like to believe that we're doing a great job in teaching our kids, but in reality, we're not. Now, here's the most recent findings from PISA, the Program for International Student Assessment, PISA. It's a program which periodically tests 15-year-old students in more than 50 countries in math, reading, and science. Listen to this closely. Listen to this. Here are the results. Now, in 50 countries in math, reading, and science, the top scoring countries in science: Finland and Singapore. The United States was 19th. The top scoring countries in reading: Finland and Korea. The United States, 15th. The top scoring countries in math: Singapore and Korea. The United States was 27. Researchers say the reasons these countries outperform the United States is they recruit only high-performing college graduates for teaching positions. They support them in mentoring and other help in the classroom, and they take steps to raise respect for the profession. Researchers say teaching in the United States is unfortunately no longer a high-status occupation. Despite the characterization of some that teaching is an easy job with short hours and summers off, the fact is that successful, dedicated teachers in the United States work long hours for little pay, and in many cases, insufficient support from their leadership. Researchers told the New York Times that the point was not that the United States spend too little on public education, but rather that American schools spend disproportionately on other areas like bus transportation and sports facilities. He said that you can spend a lot of money on education, but if you don't spend it wisely on improving the quality of instruction, you won't get higher student outcomes. Wow. So I want to ask you something. Given all the debate on teacher performance, crowded schools, budget cuts, what I want to know is, how good of a job is your child's teacher doing, or teachers? Are they looked up to, or are they being taken for granted? If you're a teacher, I'd like to know, what is it when you think about what's going on with your profession and students and parents and how you're perceived by the public? I'd like to know where you are right now. What is your take on what's going on with education? And I'm also curious, parents, what are your kids saying around the dinner table about school? What in their conversations in the ride to school or home from school? What's the conversation? What's the stories that are going on that's shaping their view of the world and their vision of how they see themselves in the future? I'd like to hear from you on that. Because, one of the things that Art Linkletter had a program years ago saying kids can say the darndest things. And kids, when I was a kid, you separated kids from adults by the exposure of information that they had privy to. Now, kids can see everything that we see and don't have a level of maturity to process that and understand the impact of what they're reading or what they're looking at, and most of it they get on television or the internet, and the conversations that I get from my grandchildren about their friends and about what they see in school, and it was just jarring, because many schools, kids come to school pregnant, and they have little daycare centers there. Some of them had 2 and 3 kids before graduating from school. It's a whole different mindset, a whole different world, whole different values, and today teaching is, you talk about tough work. That's tough work. There should, I mean, there's nothing as challenging. I know that I would not be the person that I am had not a teacher, Mr. Leroy Washington, who said to me, "Young man, someone's opinion of you does not have to become your reality," who taught me the value of developing my mind, developing my communication skills, and practicing the principle of OQP, only quality people if you want to make it in life. Practice the principle of OQP. When you think about those statistics that we talked about and how we are lagging behind the rest of the world, the question that I'd like to ask you, how do you see as parents, or maybe you have a college graduate at home, do they have the tools to make it right now? Some studies say that 73% of college graduates are going back home. So when you look at your child right now, the development of their personality, the development of their skills to plug into the job market, when you look at how they're preparing themselves and how they see the future and how they're conducting themselves, and the level of communication and relationship skills and people skills, what do you see? What are the stories that you can think about right now as you think about your school and the teachers that are impacting your children's life? If you are one of those parents that's involved, how do you see the schools right now and the role and the influence and the impact that your teachers are having on your children? Are you one of those parents who go to the school? My mother only went to school 2 times, and both of them were to beat me. That's I got a beat down at school. She only had to go twice, and after that, I was through. One time in elementary school and one time at high school, and I was done. I was not going to suffer that embarrassment anymore. But Mamie Brown worked 3 jobs, and she didn't have time to go to school. She did not do that. I went to school and sat in the classroom in the back of the room with Calvin, my oldest son. I had to go to school to see what was going on, and I was in the classroom there watching, and he was embarrassed. I didn't have to go do that anymore. But I'd like to know, when you think about school now and you look at your children, do you see the positive impact? What are some of the things that you've seen? There are some caring teachers out there. There's some teachers who go above and beyond the call of duty. Mr. Washington was one for me, and there's some teachers out there now that's doing it, that's in the trenches, that they're not just there getting a paycheck. They're doing it because it's who they are. They're doing it because it's their passion and it's their calling on their life. I want to hear from you. My name is Les Brown. I'm Mrs. Mamie Brown's baby boy. I want you to call, and I want to hear about your child and the influence your teacher having on your child. The number to call is 888-539-2980. What do you see that's working? 888-539-2980.